Tuesday morning quarterback, couple takeaways from last night. Fire Ryan Poles because Cairo Santos is still on this team. Guy can't kick it out of the end zone when his coach wants him to. Can't make a 50-yard field goal. Get him out of here. 2. Holy shit, that was a ton of penalties. Hey, Bears, tighten that shit up. And C. Caleb Williams stinks. He can't make the right reads. He's very inaccurate when he does make the right reads. He did a lot of good stuff last night, but it doesn't outweigh the bad stuff. Holy shit, everything sucks. I'm sad.
I'm sad too, buddy. There is a video of this little kid on a slide in a giant winter coat, gloves, and a beanie, slowly, like stuck in molasses, slowly sliding down that slide. And the kid isn't fighting it. They're just there, accepting their fate as they continue to slowly fall further and further down that slide, with the adults in the room laughing at them the whole time. This is what that game felt like. From the first drive, high on top of the slide, to somehow, some way, the Vikings have taken the lead, to J.J. McCarthy running in a touchdown to seal the victory in a basically mirror image of Caleb's opening crescendo to start the game. So, what the hell happened, and what did we learn about the Bears this week?
Oh, man. Football's back, baby. The Bears are back. It's like they never left.
It is like they never left.
You think about it in that way. I don't know what we learned about the Bears, but we learned something about ourselves. And I think that's that we're all fools because we buy this shit every offseason. And it's the same movie, man. They're charging us for the same movie. And they're telling us it's a different film. And we just watch it. And we're like, wait a minute. I think I've seen this before. I know how this one ends. Look, first game of the season, I think fans didn't really know what to expect. They were hopefully optimistic. It's a home game. New coaching staff. You're going up against a quarterback that's literally never taken a snap in the NFL. This is our chance here to show our stuff. Now, it was a good defense, probably a top 5 to 8 defense that they're playing against, but Caleb's had experience against them. So has Ben Johnson, right? So there was some positive juju, and you saw that a little bit on the first drive, which started out fine. I wouldn't say it was great. I think it was some fool's gold, to be honest, because Caleb made some passes. I mean, he was like 6 for 6 on that first drive, but I don't know if any of those throws were really first read on time. A lot of those were checkdowns. It looked like he didn't want to rip it, and then he threw it short, which is fine. Great, take the completion. And then the ones that were the big wow plays were out of structure plays, right? When he's rolling, hitting the doomsday on the sideline, they were like Caleb type plays. Or like throwing that screen pass all the way over to the other side of the field, right? So none of it was like, oh, they ran an awesome play. He hit his first read in stride. Great throw. I don't know if we had a lot of those. So was that sustainable for the rest of the game? It didn't look to be that way. And not just Caleb. A lot of the team had, first game jitters, a lot of pre-snap penalties, just people trying to figure out where to line up, what to do, which we expected a little bit of. But yeah, it really deflated everything there the fourth quarter, where you just felt like, as a Bears fan, you're like, we need more points. And the defense even spotted them 7. They didn't score 4 points, they scored 17 points. Defense did what they could. They were missing 3 starters, TJ Edwards, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, 3 key starters, right? Especially when you're probably your best defensive player in Jalen Johnson. And then Edwards and Gordon go kind of tandem, because depending on how you want to play, you're going to have Gordon on the field a lot more, or another linebacker on the field a lot more. And that other linebacker would have been Sewell. So you could have either played Edwards, and Sewell, or you take Sewell off and now you're playing Gordon, Edwards, and Edmonds. But now you take both Gordon and Edwards out. Now you're down to playing a lot of Sewell, who hasn't played a ton, and then McLeod, who also hasn't played a ton. And those are the guys that are like you're playing puzzle pieces with. So I'm sure Dennis Allen had to update his game plan. I thought Sewell played really well, given where he was and what was expected of him. I mean, you can't expect him to keep up with Aaron Jones on a, on like a 40-yard route. It's just
Yeah.
not going to happen. So I thought Dio played well. I thought he had a good game for the guy that was really scrutinized in the offseason for not having a great preseason. He showed up. He had a couple QB pressures and like a hit arm pass defense and a sack too. Montez Sweat, once again, big time no show. He had a jump batted ball, but you're paying somebody that much money, you gotta step up more than that. So it was disappointment, all around. I don't blame the defense as much as I do Caleb Williams in the offense. And special teams too, which we can talk about later, which is atrocious. But Caleb's got to be more accurate, man. He just didn't play well enough to win.
When you were talking about that first drive, my note that I wrote to myself was that this wasn't clinical, but it wasn't chaotic. It was kind of somewhere in between. Like, yeah, he went 10 for 10 to, start the game and 6 for 6 on that drive. And like, yeah, it was running around, but it felt like okay. And we got the touchdown, so that felt good, but there wasn't that like, yeah, it didn't feel, I guess I didn't know at the time that it wasn't gonna continue. It like just seemed
Couldn't continue that way. Flores is smart. He'll figure that out. You can't just keep playing in chaos like that.
yeah.
And it was hard to see, right? Because the one thing that we wanted as Bears fans was like, oh, now we got a coach that can have Caleb play on time, in structure. And what did the second half look like? It looked a lot like last year. He's bailing on the pocket, running around, inaccurate throws. He didn't get sacked as much. He was a little bit more elusive. I mean, he only had 2 sacks. One, he stepped out of bounds. But it didn't look different. It didn't look different enough. And
Yeah.
you can say maybe it's the first game they're getting used to it. I think that's what we're all hoping for. That's what we have to latch our wagon to at this point, because you don't really have another choice. Because if this is his ceiling in terms of playing in structure, I don't know what's gonna happen with that. I don't see Ben Johnson, who has, I think, all the power now at Hallis Hall, having patience for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it is curious to see how much patience one can have. Fans, I accept, like, we're gonna sit in the sadness that is our introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
But like, yeah, like even coming in the beginning of the second half was just 3 shit,
Awful.
like just off. Like there weren't even far throws. They were just short, not that good, not accurate, just like there was this moment in the third quarter where like the defense was buzzing and you could feel the speed of the
Oh
game
yeah.
really getting on JJ McCarthy's ass. And Swift was like kind of starting to roll a little bit. Like it felt like he was like
Mhm.
he lowered his shoulder and smashed a dude and had another good run. And so it was like and then the air just went out of everywhere and it turned.
Yeah, Swift is, and that was part of the problem with the offense, is they couldn't get the running game going, right? Swift is not a bell cow. I don't know why they stuck with that for so long. I thought in the second half we'd for sure see more of Monangai in there. We didn't.
Yeah.
I'm hoping and expecting to see more of him in game 2, or Roshan if he's back. They can't keep doing this over and over again, and this is part of where the scrutiny on polls is fair. He didn't upgrade the running back room. I mean, he spent a 7th-round pick on a guy, but I don't know if people consider that really addressing it the way you needed to. His philosophy was, hey, I replaced 3 interior offensive linemen. That should, in theory, naturally help the running game. The backs that we have are good enough. And it didn't seem to be the case. Now, I don't know film well enough to know, like, hey, were there a lot of holes there that Swift missed, or were there no holes there? I'm not really sure what the play designs are, but I just saw him running into people a lot and then immediately falling down, except he had that one drive where he like pushed dudes like 3 or 4 runs in a row. But outside of that little pocket, it's just 3 yards in a cloud of dust that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I was, I'm sure we were all in the middle of multiple group chats during the game, but pretty early on, Lone Star Daddy was like, Caleb's gonna have to do this shit on his own because there's just like no run game. And it just continued.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, Ben Johnson, I thought was fine. I thought he did well. I mean, the challenge was interesting. I didn't know the rule. I thought it was, oh my God, he just punched the ball. That should be a fumble. I didn't know that it didn't matter. I'm not sure if it mattered or not. They didn't really explain it very well. So that was not good, obviously. Going forward on 4th and 3, I didn't have a problem with that. I was like, okay, this is our guy. He offense is his strength, right? So play your strength. So I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. I questioned, using Swift as much as he did and not trying to change it up. And then he's big on the tight end usage, and I didn't see a ton. Maybe it's Caleb just missing folks. He had a long throw to Komet that Komet had to dive for at the end, but Loveland was pretty quiet. Komet other pretty quiet. So I was surprised he didn't get those guys more involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as we talk about the structure of the system and the players and what the role the coach plays. I mean, it seemed like in the beginning, as they're talking about all the players being open and Caleb's doing the check downs, like it's okay, it's okay. And then as the game goes on, it's like, well, now is he not seeing them? Why isn't he seeing them? I was listening to 670 or 1000, and they were just talking about be cool to be in the quarterback room, just listening to that's something to be, because I think Greg Olson had said a couple weeks ago, like the system will create open players, and like the system was creating open players. Like,
I thought it did. I don't know. And then the replays I saw, I didn't have a problem with the system guys not being open. Caleb just missed. He missed DJ. He missed Cole. He missed a couple people that should have been long completions. And he just, I mean, gosh, he finished with 60% completion percentage. Like, do you know how bad you have to be to start 10 of 10 and then finish with a 60% completion percentage? Like, I mean, what was he, 13 of 25 or something like that? So you take out that 10 for 10. Not great, Bob,
How did you feel about the O-line? Caleb was scrambling around a lot, had to dodge a couple things, he was getting the ball out quicker or trying to get the ball out quick.
I think if he played on time, the O-line would have been fine. I think there's some times where he bailed a pocket too early or got happy feet too early. See him dancing around doing this, and that. I think if he got his first or second read and played on time, he would have been better off than he was. Now, Grant, were those covered? I don't know. I don't watch the all 22 or anything, but that's what it seemed like to me, that he was constantly either going to his third or fourth read and the check down or the running back, or he was bailing out of the pocket and then trying to do like superhero shit.
Yeah. You mentioned the special teams. Tell us a little bit about.
Oh my God, so bad. And this was a problem during the preseason too. Hightower's unit was just not good. The coverage, I mean, Duvernay I think he was the only bright spot. I think he's going to house one this year. He just feels like he's got a good feel for it. Other than that, man, Santos, oh boy, he's not helping himself here. The critics for him were loud off season. He just, and on the heels of the Vikings kicker kicking a 59-yard field goal right before halftime, our guy comes out and noodle legs a 50, right? And you're just like, we can't have that, right? And then the strategy at the end of the game is you can't have any time come off the clock. You need to kick it out of bounds, kick it through the end zone. And he couldn't do that, right? And so, I don't know, maybe if you're Ben Johnson, you kind of know that he can't do that and just try the onside or just kick it out of bounds and take the penalty, because at that point, you're not if you don't stop him, you're done anyway. So whatever, if they get good field position, you need to stop them. So Santos was disappointing. Torrey Taylor was disappointing. He line drive punts that led to those, the long yardage returns on the punts. He had one blocked. Just not great for the special teams overall. So that unit definitely needs to improve. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. What would be your what is a takeaway of value that we have, like the Bears have learned, Ben Johnson has learned, that would be like I don't know, positive is the right word, but just something of utility.
You got to get these games to get the jitters out. And I think having that early bye week helps the Bears here, actually, because they have all new system and they're working on things. They get these first 4 games to figure out, what are you good at and what are we not? I think Ben Johnson's smart enough to realize that. I think he tried some of that in preseason, but you're not really going full throttle preseason, right? So you get 2 really tough games, the first 2 more winnable games. I'm not going to say any game for the Bears is easy, because they're the easy team on everybody's schedule. They always have been. So you got 2 hard games, the first 2, and then Dallas and the Raiders are winnable games, or, they should be competitive in those, right? So you can take those first 4 games, see what your personnel is, what your team's made of. And then I would think out of the bye is where I'm going to hit the panic button. Remember we talked about the panic button, the pulse of the people last week. We had some people say, hey, after game 3, if Caleb's doing the same stuff, I think it was Neil, shout out Neil. If he's doing the same thing with the happy feet, he's like, let's go to Bajan, right? He's ready after game 3. I think let's wait till after the bye week and see what Ben can do and see what that team looks like after the bye week. And what I said was I'd be more nervous if Ben was an issue than if Caleb was an issue, because I think Ben is here for the longer haul.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Like, look at Kevin O'Connell, right? Once you have that guy that knows what he wants and knows what he's doing, he took JJ McCarthy, not the highest rated quarterback in that class, right? And I think he's going to turn him into a good player, right? He'll get his guy, and you're not relying on some Josh Allen to come save you. So if Ben Johnson, I want to see what he can do. I'm not hitting the panic button yet. Let's see how he tweaks that offensive line in terms of the cadence, because Jonah Jackson just had no idea how to utilize cadence there. And how he can coach Caleb into not making the same mistakes. That accuracy, man, has to improve. Like, I don't know what he has to do with Caleb to get that downfield accuracy to improve, but he needs, I guess that's why they pay Ben the big bucks to figure out how that's going to work.
Yeah, he had like a couple like that ended up being 30 yards, like a strike to DJ, but like I think DJ got like added more yards to that. I think Cole Kmet's was like a diving catch, like yeah, there were definitely the glaring misses.
And what sucks about this is like we're talking about a Bears loss, and yeah, they didn't play well, but God, if they didn't have 2 really shitty calls go against them,
Yeah,
I think they would have won that game. And yeah, they could have room for improvement, but we'd be talking about way different things here, right? The phantom holding call that knocks them out of field goal range, and then the PI where the wide receiver slips. Those two, absolutely, in a 3-point game, changed the game. It's the reason they lost. Not the reason they lost, but it was, it didn't help. So
yeah,
that
yeah.
sucked. That was unfortunate to watch, that we couldn't catch a break there.
Yeah, they didn't do enough for themselves to sort of balance out the like funky calls.
I mean, good teams overcome that stuff, right? The Bears are not right now. So maybe they will be, right? As we move through the season.
Yeah.
And the hope is that now you've banked some of those, that when you weren't a good team, you banked some wins to help you. And it just doesn't, when there's a benefit of the doubt, the Bears are usually on the wrong side of that.
You might have just stumbled on the title, actually, benefit of the doubt. Okay, so 2 things. One is, what do you want to see in the next game, if we're thinking about, say, success based on this? And then a little bit of a preview about kind of, their game against the Lions.
I want to see Caleb have more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns. I think that's an indicator that he's playing from the pocket. I want him to play on time, less scrambles. I want him to have less rush attempts. I think that would be an indication for success. Obviously, the low-hanging fruit is 12 penalties. That needs to be cut in half at least, right? You're looking at 4 or 5, hopefully, would be ideal. And then Christ, special teams, like, improve. Oh, also a Montez Sweat sack or anything would be great.
Yeah.
To see him do something. But unfortunately, he gets to go up against Penei Sewell, I think. So that Lions offensive line will be a challenge.
Yeah, he did have that one jump. He jumped high up in the sky to block it, but that was really kind of the only time his name was. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the matchup that we got coming for us.
Yeah, so now we get Detroit. Ben Johnson / Detroit Lions revenge game coming up in Detroit. The Bears are a 4.5-point underdog, which is better than the 10.5-point underdog they were last year at Detroit. So Vegas does see them as an improved team for whatever that's worth. Maybe the line will change now here after that performance. But, Green Bay had a lot of success getting to Goff and also running the ball. These are 2 things the Bears, they started out doing well with JJ, but then didn't, right? And then they never really ran the ball well. So what did Green Bay do effectively that Chicago could take some of those insights and, hopefully get the running game going, and then also put pressure on Goff? Because Goff can't move. JJ is an athlete. Like, he can move. You saw he almost broke a couple, right? Trying to get through, and he had that run for a touchdown. Jared Goff's not doing any of that. So you get to him, you disrupt him, you can, maybe cause a fumble, get some more sacks. So I need the D-line to feast a little bit more. But it's hard to tell, man. They were down 3 defensive starters. Are those starters going to be back next week? If they are, that changes a lot of the complexity of the game for me, versus if those guys are still out. So that's on the defensive side. And then offensive side, we talked about that, establishing the run and then making sure Caleb's passing stats are better than his rushing stats.
And then you're doing a little something special later on this evening.
Yeah, so I'm doing
Yeah.
another pod tonight with On Tap Sportsnet with Q. We're going to be previewing the Lions Bears game on Sunday, and that's going to be at 8:30 Central. So you can either tune in live, find it on X at On Tap Sportsnet, or you can just listen to it later off the website.
Hell yeah. The intro you heard was by a listener of this, a sad listener of this episode. If you want to be featured in a future episode, either in the intro or just have random points throughout the episode, and you have sound bites and feelings that you are having and you want to record it and put it in your phone and send it to us, you can email that to us at bearsintheneighborhood@gmail.com, and we may include your lovely voice in a future episode. It's a fun way to get, as our empathetic Packer fan had given me the idea, a little pulse of the people every week. So if you'd like to do that, email us at bearsintheneighborhood@gmail.com, or text us if you know our digits. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
You think we should get Dustin an edible arrangement or something?
I think he'd really like that.
Yeah.
For Samir Patel, I'm Chirag Rathod. We are the Bears in the Neighborhood, your weekly insight into the Chicago Bears in under 30 minutes, and we will catch you all next week.
I think they're going to win next week.